Hello and welcome to NASPA's Corporate Spotlight. I'm Chris Motes, Planning Director with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Okay, let's begin with IMAGINiT Technology Spotlight titled Optimize Construction Workflows and Facility Management with Autodesk Construction Cloud. We have Alan Deluce, and he's an engagement engineer, and he'll be presenting next.
All right. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Like Chris said, optimizing construction workflow and facility management with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the ACC. My name is Alan Deluce. I'm on the engagement team with IMAGINiT. I've got about 18 years experience in the industry. I've been on the design, consulting, and then BIM and VDC in construction project management for the last 4.5 years or so. So moving along. A little bit about IMAGINiT. We are the country's largest reseller of Autodesk products. We have alliances with other products as well, Leica for laser scanning, Archibus for you facilities folks you may be familiar with. We work with them as well, amongst all kinds of other products and solutions. So we have access. We are everywhere across North America. It's likely we have an office near you. Point being, if there's needs for technology, certainly in the Autodesk realm, which is what we're going to talk about today, by all means, we are nearby. As I said, we have all these various services. We do have with the Archibus products, we have the ability to touch on those. But as data is the keyword that we've seen or that we've been hearing all day, we work with that as well. We have software development, and we can build out and work with teams on robust data packages, and just really we work well with folks on analyzing and making sure that the data they're capturing is consumable, makes sense, and it is concise, and mostly focused on for today is consumable into things like the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So today I want to talk about, what are some of your challenges in your everyday work? And I will give you an overview of the ACC, the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and how it kind of may apply to you in the various aspects of overall building life cycle. I'll talk a little bit about the individual tools themselves, and kind of the phases that they fall within. And then also at the end, we'll do a little bit of discussion. I want to touch on a couple questions that I want everybody to ask. You don't necessarily have to ask it right then and there, but just kind of mull it over. And we'll touch on those as we get through here. So number one, starting off, what are your everyday challenges as in your work? What are you dealing with? Everybody deals with similar challenges we all deal with similar challenges with work these days, trying to find people and gaining and all of this data. How is that data accessed? Is it good data? We all know garbage in, garbage out. So what is going on in your organization that maybe is a hindrance to progress? So what are some of the things that we have with the Autodesk Construction Cloud and the products that we work with that what are some of the solutions, and how can we kind of mitigate some of those concerns? The tools that we have do these things. They increase collaboration. They allow us to be together in one environment, the single source of truth. We work in 2D and 3D. I think that's a question that I would like to hear from everybody is, how much are you really dealing with 3D for your designs and for your buildings, your facilities? Are you getting BIM models? Are you familiar with that realm? And are you getting that from your contractors and designers and architects? Is it accurate? Is it standard? Is it digital? Or are we still living in the world of paper? Personally, I know the paper is never going away, no, certainly not anytime soon, but where do we stand right now? So we'll start here. This is the broad brushstroke overview of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And as we move from left to right, we're just consider it design into pre-construction, into construction and project management. And if you go through these columns here, you see basically tasks or jobs that you're going to, that the various people in the various roles are going to be doing, such as design collaboration. That's where, in particular, you work with various Autodesk software like AutoCAD or Revit, Plant 3D, Civil 3D, and you're working where we used to work on our local desktops and things like that. We now can work in the cloud. Ultimately, that is what the Autodesk Construction Cloud facilitates. So we're working in that, and in doing so in the design realm with BIM Collaborate, we're able to arrive at a more constructible building, so to speak. And it is, getting out of the gate. Once we move into construction and once our project's kicked off, we're already running with a better design deliverable. In the middle there, takeoff, that's where we quantify our building. It's where contractors, subcontractors, GCs, CMs, the people that we as facility owners are partnering with, this is where they're going to do some work and understand where their bid, how much are they going to estimate, how much are they going to bid for this job. But then really what's kind of the crux of today and the program here is Autodesk Build. Autodesk Build is the project management aspect of the construction project management aspect of the Construction Cloud. And as you can see, for the various context, project management, cost, quality, safety, there's these various tasks that are facilitated in this platform. So whether you need to, you're partnering with your contractors, you need to make sure that they have consistent daily reporting for maybe safety with forms, there's job hazard analysis, things like that. All of this information, all of the data that has been collected and created, all of this will ultimately land in your lap, right? So the point of this kind of umbrella image here is to show that as in the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the teams that you're working with, the AEs and the Cs, are already probably using Autodesk products. And then that's for the design side. And then as we move to the right, we start to push all of that data, where instead of just severing it and losing all that data, and then it restarts into some other program or some other way, we stay in the Autodesk Construction Cloud in Build, and that data it's linear. It moves on into the next phase. It's just getting more information packed on top of it, right? But again, ultimately landing at the end of the day, we need to hand over and do project closeout. Well, this program facilitates that. And it facilitates it in a way that it's a quality deliverable, safety, and so on and so forth. The tools therein facilitate those activities. Okay, so moving along, what we call the common data environment is Autodesk Docs. Autodesk Docs is what you may end up having. You probably already have something like this on premises, where you have, we already use say SharePoint, or you use Google Drive or something like that to share documents. Think about the Autodesk Docs platform as your network Windows Explorer, for instance. And it's just literally a folder structure for you to go and store all of your project information, all of your data, spreadsheets, Word documents, design documents. This is where we start to really go beyond just outside of the realm of some of those other solutions, where we get to design documentation, whether it be 2D CAD, whether it be Civil 3D, whether it be Revit for a full BIM environment, right? So we're able to go and see a lot more, and it's just compatible with the Autodesk environment. We're able to see all this information, right? And as you look at that image right there, you can see, hey, there's a facility. I can go and pick on that facility. It's actually data built into that facility that I now understand, hey, this was this glazing manufacturer. It was installed on this day. Say it's a light, for instance, you need to go and know the schedule of replacement for that piece of equipment. You can go and access that data now as that data is on the cloud and it's on your desktop and it's on your mobile device as well, right? So again, docs, that's just literally the foundation. It's the storage, it's the repository. BIM Collaborate, this is the design phase. We won't stick here too long, but this is what your architects, engineers, and contractors are utilizing to make sure that you have a building designed properly such that it will fit, right? You have to have everything in its place. You can't have pipe hitting steel and so on and so forth. So this is a design phase tool that lets us, again, land at a better design deliverable such that it is more constructible. Very powerful tools, cloud-based as well. But again, like I said, build is kind of the star of the show here. Build allows us to have project management in a single location. All of the various tools and workflows are all consolidated. Everything is connected to each other via references and so on and so forth. So as you can see, project management, quality, safety, closeout, cost management as well, and so on. So as I continued to hear data, it's always good to hear discussion about data, because where is that data? Where is that data? Is it in your, is it actually design data? Is it data that was captured through the design process and then into the handover process? Where does that data live? Is it in a file cabinet, or is it actually packed into a 3D model that is on the cloud that is accessible on your desktop, or as your facilities teams are walking around in the building or wherever they are, and they're able to go and actually select an element of the building and find what is the metadata packed into it. So how are you gaining access to that data once it has been created? That's kind of that's a question right there. So how are you in your daily life, how are y'all getting that information and distributing it out to others? So, right, like I said, how do you access it and manage it? Number one, streamlined document management. Like I said, the Docs tool facilitates that. And one of the neat things is that in managing these documents, you have document control, you have attribution. I know who did what, when, and where. It's tied there, it's time-stamped, and it's attributed to the user. Very, very handy. You have a workflow capability for approving documents, right? And then versioning. This is something that I find that's very cool, is the versioning opportunity. So often in the life cycle of a building, we continue to change and update and add or remove. Well, what happened in that last project? Well, did we add a new laboratory? Did we move some executive suites, whatever? As long as we have these as builds, we're going to be able to see what has changed through the life cycle. So I can see versions of documents. What happened last week? Certainly in the design phase, it's very, we understand that they use that a ton, of course, but even into facilities. And once that has been handed over, now we have these documents that we need to maintain. They need to be living and breathing, right? So how do we do that? Well, we can see what happened from last week to this week, and then we can confirm that, hey, this is now changed. We can see to it that we have maintain current design in our buildings. Like I said, project management is the core here. So how do you deal with your projects? You probably have maybe larger capital projects where you have consultants for design, and then you have GCs or CMs that run the construction portion. But then you also have projects maybe that are small fit outs or things like that, of that nature, where you may just internally manage it. So this program facilitates both aspects. So we can have all of our project controlled by others, and then they can push their data over to us, or we can control it internally, and we then have it, and it's a living, breathing document. We're able to utilize it in that way as well. So one of the most important parts of this program is issues. It's not a misnomer. It's just kind of what it is. But issues is really more of like an action item. And this action item it's not constrained by any means to like design or construction. It's just an action item. So I can go in and be managing my facility and I find out that boiler B1 needs some attention. I can go, and if I'm managing my building in this program on the cloud, I go and assign an issue. I know that has to occur. You assign it to facility individual. They get an email. They know they need to go do that. They need to go execute. And then you have, I won't say that it's necessarily a work order structure or work order system, but that said, there is ball and court activity and action item opportunities in this program. And it's kind of the core of action and how jobs are executed in this program with issues. And on top of that, you're packing a lot of data into these issues where they are executed, they're now open, then they get into review, something is pending, and then it's closed out. And we're able to see the full life cycle of activity, something that's very important as well. Reporting, we always know that reports are incredibly important. If I need to go do safety reports, site walks, I need to see to it that as I'm walking through the facility on Friday, everything, all of my T-stats are functioning. The boiler room, all the equipment is functioning. I can set up reports and I can do punch lists, site walks, things like that. You can do them on your desktop, and then, but most importantly, you can do them on your phone or on your iPad as well. When we get back, focusing on for just a hot second on the construction side, whether it be, again, managed internally on a smaller project or externally, you have the whole RFI and submittal process. Those are managed in this program very well. So it's just a conventional workflow, very simple and clean. It can push out to change orders, things like that, managing the cost aspect of this program as well. So just some very clean, simple workflows. One of the greatest parts about this is that it's easily adopted by the users, whether they be new to software, maybe some old school facilities folks who just want to stick with paper and pen. Well, they've got a smartphone, most likely. It's just very easily adopted. And again, that's the RFIs and the submittals. I'm going to keep on hustling because there's a lot more to go through, and then before questions. So ultimately, quality and safety, similar opportunities here. We develop what we call forms, and those forms we utilize on our iPads, on our iPhones or Androids. And as you can see there, you just see, hey, okay, here's a form. I go and fill it out. I can date it and timestamp it. I can go and ask questions of the individuals. I develop a form. It's custom. I add pictures. It's all in context. Everything is consolidated, and then I go print off a report, and then I can share that with stakeholders. So this is a huge facility tool. It goes obviously through construction, but really in facilities, it's this living and breathing and as maintained context. Something that I think will be really powerful for facilities folks is assets. They've really put a lot of work into the assets module, and it allows us to go and follow the life cycle of any asset in our building. An asset can be a building and have sub-assets, or it could just be, say, a piece of air handling equipment. And what we're able to do is attach references and metadata to that asset, pictures, IO&Ms, so any of the necessary PDFs that facilities folks would need. But then ultimately, something that's really recently happened in the last release is that they've added the ability to attach an asset to a model. So if you do have that model, the Revit model, the BIM model of your facility, you can actually tie that through the visual 3D view of the BIM model itself and have all that metadata packed in the back end that's up on the Autodesk Construction Cloud, fully accessible. So as you can see here again, these with the assets, you're getting the information to the right person at the right time. I've got this piece of equipment. I've got all the data packed into that piece of equipment. You can implement barcodes and QR codes. So you can scan that such that you'll be able to go and quickly scan the piece of equipment and then capture and go grab that information. And it just kind of speeds things up. We don't have to go back to the file folder cabinet and find some information. Warranties, scheduling, things like that. And then again, ultimately, safety, important stuff. We have to make sure that we're always dealing with safety, and that's through the entire life cycle of the building. So that really has nothing to do with just construction. That's for the entire life cycle. However we want to do it, with inspections, with reports, observations, training, set these things up, okay? And then ultimately, maybe not so much always super important for you as the owner and the operator of the facility, but these are definitely things that we on the construction teams appreciate, which is to say turnover. It has been made much, much easier to produce handover documentation and bundle everything up, creating transmittals, creating as-built turnover. You basically just have a couple clicks and you can just zip up everything in that project, all of the data that you've accumulated over the life cycle of design, pre-con into construction, and then we hand it over to a facility owner. And what's great about it is that if you, the facility owner, have this platform, you've got the context, you have hyperlinks to documents, you have hyperlinks to a piece of equipment that had an issue on it that had to go get addressed, okay? So what we're doing is we're just tying all these threads together for the entire life cycle, going from design to pre-con to construction, moving into operations, and then through the life cycle of the building. Like I said, commissioning as another aspect of this. With those assets, you're able to go and just make sure everything is up to date and has all of its, has the warranty documentation, all that stuff. It's commissioned, it's operational, flushed, tested, etc. And like I said, as built exporting. Sorry, I'm trying to a couple extras here. So, and I think at the end here, we'll briefly, few more, maybe one or two more slides here, but insights. It's really important to be able to analyze, or I should say consume our data, right? So in this program, with those issues that I mentioned, all of the issues that we create, everything rolls up analytically to what are our dashboards. And as you can see here on the left, you can see I've got risk dashboard, design, project controls, quality, safety, etc. All these dashboards that help us to see where there is a concern. Is there low risk because there hasn't been any issues created that are risk related? Is there a bunch of RFIs that are late? Is there a bunch of submittals that are late? Is there, what's going on in my project? I've got these nice dashboards that let me as a stakeholder walk in a glimpse and see where maybe there's some problematic issues. And lastly, maybe a couple more things, but reporting lets us see, actually have that physical report. So basically our dashboards can be turned into a PDF, so to speak, to spit out the information that we need, and we can go and take that into our meetings, things like that. Standardization across our, if you've got 500 facilities, let's do it all the same way everywhere we are, right? The last point is digital twin. If anybody's never heard of it, check it out. Basically, you are able to have a living and breathing digital version of your facility. So I think that's something that's kind of a keyword. If you've never heard of it, go check it out. Autodesk has the Autodesk Tandem product. But again, this is kind of where BIM was years ago. It's the future of facilities. And I hear what you guys were talked, a number of comments, or I've just heard things about various data packages, various software. The fact that it's Autodesk, everybody wants to play in their sandbox. Everybody wants to integrate with them. So there's most likely going to be an integration. And if not, there's going to be with the open, through the API, you can develop one. Sorry, I know a lot of information there, but I am, that's all for me. So do we have any questions? I know a lot of information.
Just a reminder to everybody, thank you, Alan. Feel free to type your question into the chat box and press the send button. There's a question right now. Can I connect Maximo Asset into info to the BIM model?
Yes, so you're talking about just pure Revit. There is definitely ways to connect Revit and Maximo data for sure. I'd have to go talk to my software development guys, but I think that, I mean, I know that there's IBM Maximo is massive in the FM space. So I know that there's capabilities for that for sure.
Thank you for that question, Elgin. And Stacy had a question. In our office, we use AutoCAD and we have one architect who uses Revit. Are there training opportunities out there for those of us who have always used the same software?
Yes, by all means. By all means, hit me up because we, the second slide, that's kind of our wheelhouse, is to come alongside Autodesk users and be able to introduce to new solutions and kind of determine a best path forward, and certainly help you in digital transformation. As I said, it's going from, say, 2D workflow to 3D workflow and BIM. We can go and help you collaborate and work with those architects that are using Revit if you're just purely in 2D.
All right, good question, thanks. And Rob has a question. What is the preferred platform for evergreen master files once the projects are over?
I apologize. I'm not certain what evergreen master file is. I perhaps should know that. I apologize. Is that?
So it's as built.
Oh, it's an as built. So I mean, as far as built is concerned, it's really kind of, I suppose, contractual on how you ask as an owner, as you for the handover. If you ask for the CAD, for the PDF, for the Revit, for the Navisworks, but ultimately handover, depending on how it's structured. Certainly, as you saw some of those images of the BIM in my presentation, that can be a living and breathing document on the cloud that you as a building owner are maintaining. You're able to go and access that. So I would have to maybe explore what you're a little bit deeper and dig deeper on what the question is about, what as-built format, or as-built handover format.
Great, thank you. And you got it right to where we needed to be, Alan, and thank you for the questions too. Very nice presentation, very informative. NASPA will provide copies of the presentations and recordings on its website. So to access today's presentations as well as previous corporate spotlights, click on corporate spotlights located on the main page of our website at www.naspa.net.